Welcome, hockey fans, for our New York Rangers deep dive. Hopefully, the ice doesn't melt because then, that could be a problem.
That'd be upsetting.
2025 preview. Power plays, PKs, odd man rushes, defending center ice, and not leaving Poirier out there alone on the frozen tundra trying to protect his net. So, with that said, I'm going to turn this over to our hockey maven, Chris, because Chris is going to do that deep dive for us on my new favorite team.
Whoa!
Dare I admit this? Oh, I could just see my relatives. What are you, Joe? No, it can't be. Let's just put it this way: Yankees, Rangers. I can't decide, but
Yeah.
I love the freaking Rangers, and I'm so glad Chris is going to be doing this. And I am sitting back here with great anticipation. So take it away, Chris.
Oh, thanks, Joe. And that's amazing. I mean, they wouldn't even honestly. It wouldn't. The Rangers don't even need to supplant the Yankees in order to be
No,
impressive. The fact they even approach the Yankees for you is
that's it.
out of this world.
It's saying something, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
know it really is. Yeah. So welcome, sports fans, specifically hockey fans. Basically, we've talked about doing season previews for a while, and I think sometimes we've done a decent job of like previewing some stuff about teams, but this year wanted to go just because I have capacity and I've had interest. Wanted to go a little bit deeper on some of the teams and what we can expect from them, especially the teams we care about because and we know this from experience, which is sometimes we, especially in the postseason and especially in the preseason, when we're ready for things to get started, we cannot get enough about our team, right? Um, so we're starting with the New York Rangers. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive season preview for the 2026 NHL season. And so the way we're going to do this is I've actually got a couple of categories here
Oh,
for Joe to pick from, and he'll get to pick in whatever order he wants to
like
go in.
Jeopardy.
Huh?
It's like Jeopardy.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. So the categories are the cap, which is salary cap for anybody who's not familiar, upcoming unrestricted free agents and restricted free agents, injuries, schedule, off-season moves, things to fix, and things to look forward to. So, Joe, the table is yours. Where do you want to start?
Off-season moves because
Okay,
we lost a lot of players during the season, at the end of the season. So I want to know who's coming in and what we can expect.
sure. Yeah, so off-season moves. And I do, and so there's going to be overlap between some of these categories. So this is really just itemizing, what the Rangers did. So one of the things they did, and technically I think this was technically before the end of the season, so this wasn't technically off-season. But y'all did sign goalie Callum Tongue to a 3-year entry-level contract. So that's a vote of confidence for this is because you got a couple of goalie prospects, but that's the 3-year entry level contract. That is a vote of confidence that you see Callum Tongue taking over when Jonathan Quick finally does leave. That
This
he's
is one of my
going
questions
to.
already.
I'm sorry.
This is one of my questions already.
Oh, I'm gonna come back to that when we're talking about UFAs and RFAs for sure. But basically saying Callum Tongue is going to be our next guy. He is going to learn from with this entry level contract. He's going to spend a little bit of time learning from Quick, but he's the one who's going to then back up Igor and learn from Igor and see whether or not you can be our goalie of the future. So, you took care of some housekeeping by signing center/right winger Matt Rempe to a 2-year contract,
I
which I
like
think you're
that.
probably pretty happy about, Joe. I know you're a big
Oh,
Rempe fan.
I love rugby. I love him.
Yeah. So that also shows confidence that there's that he does bring something more to the Rangers than just entertainment value.
He
Uh,
became a hockey player last year, Chris. I could see his progression. He's not just a goon on the ice.
yeah.
He can skate. He can shoot the puck. Yeah, there were things that impressed me about him
Mhm.
beyond his physicality.
Yeah, and clearly it impressed the Rangers too to sign him. And admittedly, it's not like term or anything like that, but they signed him to a 2-year contract, and so that gives him a little bit more time to develop and for them to decide how much of a commitment are we willing to make here.
Mhm.
You signed defenseman Matthew Robertson to a 2-year contract, as well as center Adam Edstrom to a 2-year contract. So again, just housekeeping, little things that you just let's just keep things rolling here. Um, but the fireworks started before that when you fired head coach Peter Laviolette.
Mhm.
Um, I always stumble over that name. I apologize if I mispronounced it. Given how much experience he has in the Atlantic or in the Metro Division, you'd think I'd be able to pronounce the guy's name. Given that he's coached the Rangers, the Flyers, the Capitals. Like, he's made his rounds, and I still can't pronounce the man's name, so I need to work harder on that. But
Does he have a job now, Chris, or is he still unemployed?
that's a really good question. I honestly don't know. As far as I know, he doesn't have a head coaching job, as far as I know. Does he have an advocate, front office advocate job, like an assistant coaching job? Maybe. Um, let's find out real quick, because that's a thing that we can do.
Okay.
Uh, so currently he's not doing anything as far as I can see. I forgot that he also coached the Hurricanes. So, and the
Jesus,
Islanders.
that gets
He
around,
coached,
didn't he?
he coached the Islanders, the Hurricanes, the Flyers, the Caps, and the Rangers, which means
Jesus.
that he's coached everybody in the Metro Division with the exception of the Devils and the Blue Jackets. So,
Wow.
I guess we know where he's going next. But yeah, at the moment, no, he does not have a job that I can see here. So fired him. Oh, well, here you go. Oh, nope, that was different. Yeah, so doesn't have a job right now. And subsequently, you hired Mike Sullivan, who was let go by the Penguins. We're gonna get to Mike Sullivan a little bit later, but head coach of the Penguins, won 2 Stanley Cups with them. I believe that was 2016, 2017. So it's been a minute. But yeah, 2016, 2017. The last time the Penguins won a play. Well, now I'm getting ahead of myself. So brought in Mike Sullivan from Pittsburgh. You signed what was one of the biggest free agent signings of the offseason with a defenseman Vladislav Gavrikov who had previously played for the Kings. Great move, which I'm going to again get into more detail later. But big signing for the Rangers, and got to make room for him. And also, I think they had really lost confidence in Keandre Miller and just weren't willing to sign him to a big contract. So you traded Keandre Miller to the Hurricanes for Scott Morrow, conditional 2026 first round draft pick, and a 2026 second round pick. So you got a decent haul for him. And then also in a little bit of this was expected, but the departure was better than some other departures that happened midseason. Chris Kreider went to the Anaheim Ducks for forward prospect Carey Terrence and a 2025 third round draft pick and a 2025 fourth round draft pick. So those are your offseason moves. Any questions, thoughts, things you like or don't like, Joe, about any of that?
Well, I don't like Chris Kreider going. I thought he would be a Ranger for life, and that's I was a little. I wouldn't say I was shocked when it happened, but I was saddened by it. Let's put it that way. Gavrikov, is that how we pronounce his name? The new defenseman?
Gavrikov, yes, sir.
Okay. So, can you give me like a little bit of a background on him? I mean, what is he? I mean, as a defenseman, what does he excel at? I mean, obviously defense, but I mean, is he the kind of guy that can rally the defensive core behind him and get them to play better?
I think so. Yeah. He's definitely top pairing defenseman. He is solid through and through. I think he's going to be a good leader by example. He's got a reputation which helps with players right away. He works really hard, so I think his play in front of Shesterkin should be inspiring. And I think he's the kind of guy that he plays hard and plays so well that he can hold other players accountable, which is not something I thought that Keandre Miller could do.
That's what
I think Miller was a little too young, and I didn't see him as a leader in the locker room. I think that's something that Gavrikov can bring.
How will that work with Fox though? Because I thought Fox would have been that player at this point, right? The guy,
but I think we saw, if I'm not mistaken, we saw some regression from Fox.
I think we did. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure. I'm pretty sure we saw. I mean, we saw regression, and I get into this a little.
The whole team regressed.
Right. Basically, the entire team regressed, and so as a result, it's easy to get lost in there. But, yeah, I mean, I think Fox still fills that role, but there's no reason to say you only need one. In fact, I would argue that you need more than one voice like that, just because if you keep hearing from the same guy, at some point the message wears thin.
Yeah.
And so I think bringing a fresh and experienced and very skilled voice into the locker room, I think that's going to be a big deal. So Gavrikov is, and it's not just like a diamond in the rough. Oh, you see something in him. A lot of teams wanted Gavrikov. So he's a proven asset. And I think that's another reason why you were all too happy to say goodbye to Keandre Miller, is because you wanted a proven asset, and you get that in Gavrikov, which is why you signed him also to term. So you could only sign him to 7 years, not 8, because he was coming over from another team, and that's the deal with the CBA.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
But it also means that he wanted to be here. He wanted to be in New York.
That's
So
very
there's
important.
buy-in, and that's always important, but it's especially important in the wake of what happened last season and all the mismanagement that happened, right? So when you had guys talking about, well, the divorce process from New York is really terrible, and I'd heard that, but now I've experienced it, and we knew that Kreider didn't want to stay. We knew Kreider was done with New York, and ultimately, like the departure of Kreider was very amicable, but I think damage was done that simply couldn't be undone. So while things may have been forgiven, they could not be forgotten. And
Yeah,
so
it's a good way to put it. Okay.
sorry,
Yep. Good way of putting it. Yes.
yeah. Um, so I think when you're looking at that kind of a situation, it's that much more important to have buy-in from players. And so knowing that Gavrikov wants to be here, that is a really big deal. And I think again things are going to get better here with him on the ice because so a little bit of numbers. Shesterkin had a 905 save percentage. Quick had an 893 percentage. Those are fairly pedestrian
Mm.
goaltending numbers. They were 15th in the league, so really middle of the pack with a .896 team save percentage, and they were 19th with a 3.09 goals against, which is not. It's all pedestrian. None of it's great, and it's really surprising. And if you don't know where to look, you're going to look at Shesterkin and Quick and go, Quick is too old, and Shesterkin isn't all he's cracked up to be. Neither of which is true.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, Shesterkin faced the most shots in the NHL last season. He faced 1,751 shots in
Wow.
61 games. He saw an average of 28.7 shots per game.
Yeah, it's a
And
lot.
that's problematic. That's on your defense that they need to be able to stop. And um, they regularly gave up rush chances. And like you were talking about leaving them out, they say leaving a goalie on the island. You're saying leaving them out in the tundra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what they were doing. So uh, how did they have a chance of the postseason while allowing 3.11 goals per game, which is the number that they scored? So a focus on defense is going to be really important for them. And the goaltending numbers will come up if the defense gets even marginally better. And Gavrikov doesn't make your defense marginally better. Gavrikov makes your defense noticeably and markedly better.
Oh, I
So,
wanted to hear that.
yeah.
Man, that's music to my ears.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any other questions, thoughts, concerns about those offseason moves?
The young man you mentioned, the young goalie, right? He's going to be
Yeah.
groomed,
Callum Tongue.
and I think he's got two really experienced and great goalies to learn from.
Sure.
Quick's going to the Hall of Fame, obviously. So this will be Quick's last. But he's Quick 40 now, maybe turning 41. Yeah, right. He's probably close to 40 if he's not
I
already.
actually have that in front of me when I'm looking at UFAs and RFAs. So if you bear with me a second,
Okay.
so he is currently 39. He's going to become 40 because he becomes
Season, yeah.
an unrestricted free agent after this season.
Well, I like Quick. I just think he's like that kind of lunch pail type player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that the league has always been known to have, and I just like when he's in net. But again, like you so aptly put just a few seconds ago, leaving the guy out there on the island alone, the goalie, is something that the Rangers have to improve. They've got to get some bodies in front of that netminder so that he's not, facing 48 shots, goal
Right.
shots. Oh my God!
Yeah, 28.7 a game is too many.
It's way too many. Way too many.
Yeah.
Okay, that's. I think that's it for now. What do I choose? What next
Yeah,
category?
you get to choose. Yeah, what category do you want next, Joe? The board is yours.
Let's see. We got. Oh, let's talk about the cap. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
cap.
Sure. So this is according to Puckpedia, the 2025-2026 cap space. The Rangers have $777,000. Really, it's 777,976, so about $778,000 worth in cap space for this season. So they've basically spent up to the 95.5 mil cap limit.
Okay.
So they're there. Future cap space, they're projected to have $29.6 mil worth of cap space in 2026, 2027. And then that goes up to 51.8 mil in 27, 28. It's worth noting these projections are also based on the expected league-wide increase in salary cap limits. So the salary cap limit is going to be increased to 104 million next year and 113.5 million, and then 113.5 the year after that. So even though it's it, those increases are expected, they are not guaranteed. So this season you don't have anything to you don't have any money to mess around with for this season, which is the case for most teams. But um, it could end up being a little bit worrisome if you find yourselves in a situation where you're still trying to plug holes, and I think you might be. So let's, I don't know what the trade deadline will bring, but that's where you're at in terms of cap space. So it does free up a little bit down the line, but that'll be as a result of upcoming UFAs and RFAs, which we'll get into. Did you want to slide into that now since we're
Yeah,
already
that's
talking
it. You did.
about
It's a perfect segue. Yes.
that? Okay.
Hmm.
So a lot of contracts are up in time for the 27-28 season, and that's why you're looking at 51.8 million dollars in cap space in the 27-28 season. So a lot of cap space. That's because we're seeing that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For right now, let's focus on what's expected to happen after this season. So one of the biggest ones is that Artemi Panarin, your left winger,
Hmm.
becomes a UFA after this season at the age of 34. That's a big reason why the Rangers clear up a bunch of cap space going into next season. Um, like a lot of the Rangers, he had a down season.
He
I
did.
don't know if we see Panarin sign an extension with the Rangers. There's a new coach in town. Sullivan may not be particularly attached to Panarin, especially Sullivan is generally more interested in defense as a coach.
Hmm.
Uh, eh, he's 34. If Panarin is looking for more than just like a modest 2 to 4 year deal to close out his career in New York, then I don't think he signs an extension. I think he enters the offseason as a free agent, or if he's having a good season and the Rangers aren't going to be making the playoffs, they'll trade him at the trade deadline,
Yeah.
and it'll be a
No
trade to
problem.
sign situation. Um, I think he means a lot to the team, but I think the only way he sticks with the Rangers is if he signs a deal that's pretty team friendly, and I don't know if Panarin is inclined to do that. So I think, and listen, folks, I can be wildly wrong about this, right? Um, it would not be the first time. It will not be the last. This is why they pay me the big bucks, right? As a sports commentator, is to keep being wrong and keep somehow having a job. Um, but I think ultimately we're either going to see a modest 2 to 4 year extension signed, or we're not going to see him with the Rangers at all. So this will be
I
his
think
last season with the Rangers, which also makes it a bit of a prove it year for Panarin. Um, I think ultimately we're going to see him do better than last season, if for no other reason than regression to the mean, which I talk about a little bit elsewhere. I'll talk further on in the podcast here. Um, but yeah, I think that's what we're looking at with Panarin. But it does sign up, it does free up a lot of cap space, so
sure.
we'll see. Um, Johnny Brodzinski,
Brodzinski.
center right winger. Yeah, he becomes a UFA after the season at the age of 33. I don't know much about Brodzinski. It's possible they get him signed to an extension just to take care of the position, more so than as a matter of wanting to keep the player. The salary cap is increasing, and because of that, teams are spending more money to take care of their needs. So it's getting a bit harder to find, like, to keep positions filled, simply because players can walk and find more money elsewhere. I don't know that his production and lack of name recognition will help him get much more money elsewhere. So it's possible that he just gets signed to a 2 year extension, just to sort of keep that position filled until they decide they want someone else, a prospect or a trade acquisition in that spot.
Okay.
Some of the more interesting names for me, because Artemi Panarin, he's not as interesting to me. I can't tell you why exactly. He's driven me nuts in the past as a sniper who has absolutely terrorized the Devils. So he's been that. But after last season, I don't know how much of a team leader he is. So for me, some of the more interesting names that are coming up here, and given what I've said about defense in the past, it shouldn't be surprising. Carson Soucy, he's a left-handed defenseman. He becomes a UFA after the season at the age of 32. He is an extremely solid D man for the Rangers. He came over from the Vancouver Canucks. I want to say 2/3, maybe three, no, about 3/4 of the way through the season, he came over from the Canucks.
Yeah, about
And
that.
I think the Rangers are going to try and get an extension done before he has a really solid season in front of Shesterkin, right? Because if he has that really solid season, his price goes up, right? Just in time
True.
for, the sort of the back nine of his career. Um, the thing about D-men is it isn't always enough to look at their production. And we talked about this in the episode we recorded earlier today. We were talking about defense. Sometimes you need to look at the goalie and ask how his season went. Guys like Susie can sometimes be tough to quantify well. He only had 3 points for the Rangers across 16 games. I think it was 1 goal, 2 assists. And that was and in Vancouver, where he played 59 games last season, he only had 10 points. So is he good? It doesn't sound like it, but you look at his plus minus rating across the 16 games with the Rangers, and it was a +2. Now, is that stellar? No. Does it really pop? And is plus minus a flawed stat? Yes. But it is still better than seeing a minus rating. And given how atrocious I say atrocious, but it's relative, right? Because ultimately the Rangers were downright pedestrian with goals against. I think I said a 3.09 goals against, right? Was either a 3.09 or a 3.11. So, but if you're looking at a pedestrian rating with a defense that was just kind of riddled with problems, to see a +2 rating across almost 20 games is pretty good. I loved when John Marino was on the Devils his first year, especially when he came over from Pittsburgh. I understand why we moved on from him, but I loved watching him play. Now, there was nothing flashy about what he did, and his stats were really nothing to look at, but his time on ice and his situational use warranted attention. Why? Because the man did all little things right. He didn't need to make flashy defensive plays because as a stay-at-home defenseman, he took care of defense before it took care of business, the puck, before it ever became a threat to the goalie. And I think that's the kind of guy the Rangers have in Soucy, and why I think they'll be happy to keep him if they can get him to sign to a 4 or 5 year deal without spending too much money on him. That said, are they willing to spend more on him? Possibly, because I think they really want to keep Shesterkin happy. Shesterkin is there for the long haul, at least per his contract, right? So
Right.
you really want to make sure you're keeping the man happy because you need to be able to protect your goalie. And if your defense isn't willing to do that, you're not going anywhere. I don't care how good your goalie is. So I think Soucy is a really solid ad for the Rangers. And I think we're going to see them try and get him signed to an extension before he has any sort of a breakout season. And then they end up having to pay him more money because I think he just like his numbers can pad a goalie's numbers. Goalie's numbers can pad a defenseman's numbers, and his numbers could end up looking real good. He can have more opportunities playing in front of Shesterkin. So that's Carson Soucy. Scott Morrow, he's a right-handed defenseman. He becomes a restricted free agent after the season at the ripe age of 23. And he'll be coming off of his entry-level contract. So Morrow has a ton of potential, and he's a right-handed D-man, D-man,
D-man. I like
which
that.
is coveted in the NHL right now. I don't think the Rangers would have traded Keandre Miller for him unless they intended to sign him to a contract. So I think they're looking to get something done with Morrow. I think that's sort of a no-brainer, no low risk situation because I'm guessing that was also part of the conversation. Jonathan Quick becomes a UFA after the season at the age of 40. If he has even a halfway decent season behind Igor, which I think he probably will, I think the Rangers sign him to a 1 year extension to keep a reliable backup. I don't
Yeah.
know what the deal is for the most part, with the Rangers goalie pipeline, but I haven't heard or read much about their young goalies. So I think they're happy to stick with Quick so long as he's decent and as long as he wants to keep playing.
It's a bumper sticker. Stick with quick.
Yeah, yeah. I do start to worry a little bit. I know I'm not the first person to mention the possibility that the heavy workload that Igor sees during the regular season has an impact on his postseason play. And the Rangers might be well served to groom a goalie who can play more than 20 games in a season. So at some point, you want to move on from Quick. But according to StatMuse, and according, I should say, not but, and according to StatMuse, Shesterkin had a record of 27, 29, and 5 in 61 games with a goals against average of 2.86, save percentage of 9.05, which we already talked about. Some of this was the play in front of him. Is it possible the long seasons are getting to him? So I personally, I'm not saying this is what I think they should do, but I personally think what happens is if Quick has at least a halfway decent season, I think they sign, and he wants to keep playing. I think they sign him to a 1 year extension so he can keep backing up Shesterkin, um, and so that Callum Tongue can keep learning behind him. I think a lot of it depends on, again, does Quick want to keep playing, and also how far along is Tongue in his development?
Hmm.
Because at some point you need to start taking the pressure off of Shesterkin. So those are upcoming UFAs and RFAs for the next season. After that, things get crazy and guys start their contracts start expiring in droves. But for now, that's what we're looking at. So any thoughts, questions about any of that, Joe? Where's your head at?
No, I think you covered all of that. I think I would like to keep Panarin, and I think you're right. I think a 2 to 4 year is the most he's going to get. If he's looking for 5 or 6, I don't at that age, I don't think he's going to get that. Nor should he get that. I enjoy watching him play. I like the way he skates. But we talked about everybody regressed last year. Um, why do you think the forwards? Uh, why do you think the scoring regressed on the Rangers? I mean, it's you can tell you can quantify what happened to Igor and Quick because of the lack of defense or help in front of the goal by defensemen. But why did guys like, well, first of all, Lafreniere had it step back, Mika, Trocheck. I mean, I guess the only guy who played up to his potential was JT Miller. But and Panarin had a step back. Is there? Can we quantify that? Are they getting old? What do you think?
No, I mean they are getting old, but I don't think that's what slowed them down so much. I think they just had a down year. I think there are a couple of things that contributed to that. One, they exceeded expectations in the previous year when they won the President's Trophy.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think of
So
that,
I
but you're
think
right.
I think there was always going to be a regression to the mean. The pendulum just swung hard the other way. I think that slumps are contagious. I think once it hit one guy, the bug bit other players
Oh,
too.
that's the case in baseball, definitely. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I think the slump was contagious. I think that with all the drama that was happening with the front office, I think that contributed to
I think that was a big thing for sure.
frustration. And so I think that was part of it too. I think we're going to see improved production from most of them. Maybe not improvement to the levels we saw when they won the President's Trophy 2 years ago, but it's still a skilled team. I think we'll see more regression to because they're NHL players. They're not schlubs.
No,
So I
not at
really,
all.
I really think that it was sort of overcorrection from the previous season, so I think, and this is my very outside perspective. I'm piecing together a narrative that maybe doesn't exist, if I'm being honest, but I think they had. I think they had a long season when they won the President's Trophy and went to the Eastern Conference Finals against Florida, and then they lost, and then the drama hit, and then one guy went into a slump, and then other people followed. I think it was just an off year. Sometimes you get injury bit. That last year, I think he got slump bit. So
Okay.
so yeah, I'm not worried about now. I don't think they're gonna score so much that it makes up for their bad defense. So they're gonna need their defense is gonna need to step up their game, which I think is gonna happen with the changes you've made with the addition of Gavrikov. With again seeing Scott Morrow come in here and I think make an impact. I think with Susie in there for more than 16 games, I think you're going to see some changes, and that's great. So yeah, I think the other thing too is it's hard to score when you're on your back foot, and with the Rangers expecting to give up a little more than 3 goals nightly, the pressure is now on the offense to score goals in buckets, because now
Mm,
you're telling the offense, hey, we're going to need you to score at least 4 goals a night. That's a big ask. That's a
big
really
ass.
big ask, and so I think that pressure gets to them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I bring baseball back to, but it's like the Yankees lead the almost Major League Baseball in almost every offensive category, but the pitching is not that good. And if you're going 3, 4 games in a row where it's you're down 4 or 5 runs early in the game, you're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on that offense. I don't
Right,
care how good they
right,
are. Yeah,
yeah. And I think you can put that kind of pressure on an offense if it's an off night. If Shesterkin is having an off night, I think you can, or if the defense is having an off night, I think then the offense will go, hey, they've had our back.
Yeah,
Now it's our job to pick up the slack, right? And they'll step up for a game like that. And then you hear it in the post game. Excuse me. A lot of times you'll hear it in the post game after having a bad first period where Shesterkin had to bail them out, and then stepping up in the second and the third, they'll be asked about it. It's like, yeah, well, Igor was there for us in the first, and he made some saves that maybe he had no right saving. He shouldn't have even had to take those shots, and so we felt we owed it to him. Blah blah blah. But I think and I say blah blah blah, but it's real, right? This idea that like you stepped up for me, that's expected. If we lose together. So I expect that you're going to step up for me, but you did it. So now I'm going to do it for you, right?
yeah.
I'm going to repay that faith in kind.
That's why it's a
So
team. Yeah.
yeah, so I think we'll see more scoring this season, um, but I think last season it wasn't that the offense was bad, it was that they regressed, and then it was thrown into sharp relief by how many goals they were giving up, and thus how few games they could win.
How do you increase your power play productivity?
Well, I think that's going to be a different system under Sullivan. I think
Okay.
that is going to be you don't need to play as desperate if you're playing better defense, right? Because there's pressure on the power play as well.
Hmm.
But in this case, I don't know. I honestly can't answer that question very well because I didn't watch enough of the Rangers power play to be able to say this is what they're missing. This is what they need to do better.
It was, I won't say dreadful, but it was bad.
Well, and I think it was predictable too,
Yeah.
right? Get Kreider on the doorstep so he can poke stuff
Yeah,
in.
exactly. Yeah.
And keep passing the puck around until you get Kreider on the doorstep to surprise poke the puck in. Like, I think there was nothing about the power play. It felt from what I saw, it felt routine.
Yeah, nothing creative about it at all. No,
And if you're not gonna, yeah, and if you can't throw a couple of change ups, um,
I like that.
they know, and you're not, and the Rangers power play is not good enough that you can do that. We know where Ovechkin's going to be. We know where he's going to be, but you can't stop him.
No,
You just can't when he's on the power play, he's going to drift to that left dot,
no,
and
yes.
he's going to snipe it past the goalie, and that's just going to happen sometimes. What are you going to do? Are you going to babysit him? You can do that, but the guy doesn't move. He doesn't
It's
move.
like
He's
like a
old
freight train.
now.
It's
Yeah,
like a freight train now. Yeah.
he's old now, so you know where he's going to be, and so it's not even like he's moving around and you can shadow him. What you're basically signing up for, if you decide to put a guy on him, you're signing up for somebody who's just going to sit in that left dot. He's going to sit in the left circle and babysit Ovechkin. Ovechkin doesn't care. He doesn't care. He'll sit there and he'll wait because either you're going to lose interest and drift off and be out of position, and then he'll snipe you anyway, or I've effectively made it, instead of a 5-on-4, I've effectively made it a 4-on-3, and the left dot is off limits.
Yeah.
The Rangers are not that, so they can't afford to be predictable in the way that they were last year. And I don't like Laviette as a coach. I don't. I think he is establishment. I don't think there's anything interesting about the way he coaches. And sure, he's had some success. Absolutely, he's never won a cup as far as I know, but he's had
No.
some. He's had some success. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe.
Does he want a cup? I can't think now.
Yeah. No. I'm literally looking this up right now, but as far as I can see, he doesn't have any championships to his name.
There you go. Okay.
So if he doesn't have any championships to his name, and even if he
Coach
does,
all those teams.
even if he does have, oh, there. Okay, so he did. He won a Stanley Cup with the Hurricanes.
Oh, what year was that, Chris?
In 2006.
Okay.
So 20 years ago.
Okay, 20 years ago.
And listen, it's not that sometimes those coaches, sure, maybe they still have something left in the tank, but this is a guy who has coached, let's see, 2, 4, 6 teams.
6 teams. You're out of the
6 teams. And that's in the past 24, 25 years. He's coached 6 teams. He's won a cup, and that's great. Good for him. 5 years after he started his head coaching career in the NHL, he won a Stanley Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes, and that's an accomplishment. I don't have a Stanley Cup to my name, and I'm starting to think I never will. At 41, I think my window is
You never
closing.
know.
So, you know,
You never know.
maybe I'm not allowed to talk here. But uh, yeah, at the end of the day, I a lot of these guys they cycle around because they're a known commodity. So I don't think
Mm,
there's anything exciting about him as a coach. Now,
I would agree.
is the same thing true of Sullivan? I hope not. It might be, but you see a lot of these names get recycled. So I think that the power play was just uninspired. I think it was predictable. There was nothing. There was no dynamic nature to it, and they're just not good enough to play a boring power play and score goals.
When I think of the Ranger power play last year, all I think of is puck being passed back and forth, and very few shots on goal. That's just you know no, you know you got to shoot the
No,
puck to get it past. You know you can't
and
steal first base in baseball, and you can't score a goal without shooting the puck.
well,
So
and you watched them more than I did. So if that's what you're saying, I have
yeah,
no problem believing it.
no, but you hit the nail on it. It was very predictable, very prosaic. Just nothing
Yeah. So could it get better this season? It definitely
there.
can.
Better get
Will it? We're hoping.
I'm sure. Definitely not. Oh, yeah, got to get better. Shall see what's left on the board here, Alex. Let's see.
We still have injuries, schedule, things to fix, and things to look forward to.
Well, things to fix and things to look forward to. Yeah, I guess that's kind of, one leads into
Okay.
the other. If you fix stuff, then you're going to look forward to things, right? Yeah. Okay.
Sure. So things to fix. Special teams. We might have
Yeah.
talked about this, folks. Short-handed goals were great, but they did go from a top three power play, which was 26.4%, to 28th in the NHL,
Yes.
17.6 in 1 year. They dropped almost 10% in a power play conversion rate in 1 year, and that's bad. Now their penalty kill, their PK regressed slightly, but not enough to be costly. They went to they had a 80.3% success rate after dropping from an 84.5% success rate. Now, of
Well,
course,
that's it.
if you're asking me, do I want 84.5 or 80.3? I'm picking 84.5, but it wasn't their PK that did them in. It was the
No,
fact that they dropped 28th out of 32
that's
power in
pathetic.
their
Yeah,
power play
that's
conversion. And you can't win like that. Um,
unforgivable.
yeah, their 1-3-1 just wasn't really much of a threat. So I think the system will change, whether they want it to or not. I do think that Sullivan likely would have changed the system and gone, this isn't working, and he would have changed it coming in anyway. But I think without Kreider sitting on the doorstep waiting to poke pucks into the net, I think that system was going to have to change, even if they were not inclined to change it, because Kreider isn't there anymore.
Mm. Yeah.
So special
Okay.
teams are a thing to fix. The other thing to fix, and listen, I think they've made great headway in this area. Like I said before, vibes, because this was primarily the fault of the front office. Given the way that Kreider left for Anaheim, it seems the front office learned their lessons and are cleaning up their act. Hopefully, players see it the same way. Now you're going to have, again, you got some new and newish names in the locker room. So it's possible that since they're starting with a clean slate, the other players are more likely to go, you know what? If Chris could leave here and have some nice things to say, then maybe the front office really did learn their lesson. Maybe
So
they're not.
Drury learned his lesson from Trouba to Kreider, you think?
It looks like it. It looks
Okay.
like they did.
I'll agree with that.
It looks like, or I say they. It looks like he did. You know, it looks like Drury did because he's the one who dug the hole in the first place.
Yes,
Um,
yes. And pulled the whole team in with him, seemingly.
so you know, fingers crossed. Um, but yeah, the vibes need to be fixed, and I think that was part of what led to the slump and the whole
I
lackluster.
think it
Like,
has a lot
no,
to do with
we don't
this.
like to. You know, you don't like to lose, but you gotta hate to lose.
Mm,
And I think they just weren't there last season. So those are the things, and we already talked about the defense pretty extensively.
yeah.
You know, you really need to reduce shots on goal. You know, you need to reduce those high risk shots too. Shesterkin and excuse me, I don't have numbers in front of me, and maybe this is just more of a not narrative. What's the word I'm looking for? The type of experience that I'm seeing. Um, Gosh, it's going to bug me to not have this word. But it's a type of evidence, and it's not statistical evidence that I have in front of me. The statistical evidence might exist, but but it looked like those goalies were facing a lot of high danger chances, high percentage shots, and that's nothing you can allow. So you gotta
Well,
fix the
so many
special.
shots from the the slot. I mean, Jesus
Right.
Christmas. I mean, wow. Somebody
Yeah.
get there. Somebody defend.
Yeah, it's a problem, you know. So, um, broad strokes, fix the vibes, fix your special teams, specifically your power play, and fix your defense. I think they're in good shape for their defense being fixed. I think their vibes are in good shape. We'll see what their power play looks like. And don't forget, fans, that Rangers fans, don't hit the panic button early. It's going to take a minute for them to figure out. You got a new coach, new players, probably a new system. It's going to take a minute for them to find
Yeah,
their
they got a
chemistry of
gel.
how it works.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
their
no,
power play probably won't be great coming out of the gate.
I agree. No, I've already got my mind set to that. Let's give them some slack. A lot of new pieces here on the board that need to cut. They need to gel. So yeah, does that mix
Yeah.
metaphors here? Yes.
So that's things to fix. Things to look forward to. I think you got a lot of them. Again, almost every single player regressed last season from the previous season.
Well,
They're NHL players. They're not schlubs. It's reasonable to expect that they're going to regress to the mean, which means we'll see improved production from most of them.
I hope so.
Do they go to the mean? Do they extend beyond the mean, above the average? I don't know. But again, these are good players, so I think as a Rangers fan, you're going to have a better season this year. Um,
Chris, how old is
Jake-
Lafreniere now? Is he 24 yet? Is he even 24 yet, Lafreniere?
I don't know how
Because
old he is.
I'm looking. I thought 2 years ago he progressed, and I thought last year he regressed greatly. And I just, as a young
Lafreniere is
player,
23.
yeah, he's still a kid basically.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for big things from him. I want to see a big turnaround from him this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this is where maybe Sullivan can prove some of his mettle. Is he's worked with a lot of skilled players. I mean, hell, he had an incredibly skilled core with the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's nice to be able to coach Sidney Crosby and Evgeny
Yeah, well,
Malkin for as long as he did.
that's
Um,
like
yeah,
coaching
so
Ruth and Garrick.
yeah, right. So so it'll be a question of whether or not he can bring Lafreniere along, and I think I'm sure that when he was interviewing for the job, and I'm sure when they were considering him, they asked him probably point blank, how do you plan to, you know, get Lafreniere up to speed?
Yeah,
And I'm sure he had an answer for it.
light a
So
fire under him. Okay,
yeah,
good.
um,
There's a lot
JT
of
Miller
potential in that
starting.
boy.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of potential in that young player, Lafreniere.
Yeah,
It's there.
yeah, there is. And I think that's why they've stuck with him.
Yeah.
JT Miller starting the season with the Rangers. He played only the back half of last year's season, and that had already been the season for the Rangers had already been marred by upheaval and drama. But don't forget that the start of Miller's season in Vancouver was also marred by upheaval and drama. So between the drama that Miller experienced at the beginning of the season and the drama that had marred the Rangers season, I think there was a lot of, you guessed it, drama. So what's it going to look like when things have settled down, when the dust has settled, and Miller has had an opportunity to sort of start with the team?
Start
So
fresh. Start
right,
with a clear head. Focus on hockey and not on again on soap opera. Yes.
right,
Yeah.
right.
That's the
So
goal.
I think that'll be something for y'all to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm
We
looking
already
forward to
talked
JT
about this.
Oklahoma.
Gavrikov's playing for Shesterkin, something to
Oh,
look forward to for sure.
love it. I love it.
Mike Sullivan's coaching style? Question mark.
Yeah,
I
we don't
don't
know
know if
that
this is
much
something
anymore.
I honestly don't know if this is something to look forward to or not. Listen, the players stuck with him for a really long time, and it wasn't the players that got him ousted. He's generally well liked by the players underneath him. He goes to bat for them, and for a minute there, he was the second longest actively tenured coach behind John Cooper of Tampa Bay, and that's a hell of an achievement because really at this point, the average shelf, if I'm not mistaken, the average shelf life for an NHL coach is something like 2.3 seasons.
Really?
It's
Wow.
real short. It's
That's a
real
quick
short.
turnaround. Wow.
Yeah, it is a very quick turnaround. So you don't.
That's hold
So
up the door, slam, hit you on the way out, man. Wow.
right, and given that the last time the Penguins won a playoff series was in 2018 when they defeated the Flyers in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Since then, they've lost in the first round in 2019, 2021, 2024. They failed to qualify for the playoffs in 2022, 2023, 2025. So there could be a lot of concern around Sullivan either not making the playoffs or not winning a series in the playoffs, and there could be concern around that. But don't forget that he was stuck with an aging core that
Mm-hmm.
they kept trying to Pittsburgh ownership and management kept trying to sort of like fix instead of move on from, and I think that they did it poorly. So I don't think that's all Sullivan's fault. He is very much a players coach, which I think is maybe good for this team. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily discipline that they need. I think it's buy-in. So I think the skill is there. So I don't know. We'll see. He is a Stanley Cup winning coach, but again, that was with a really impressive, historically talented core of players in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and it was almost 10 years ago, 2016 and 2017, right? So is it something to look forward to? Maybe question mark. It could be. I think we could see gains. But I
Okay.
don't know for certain because he's also a guy who's been in the league for a while. Now, admittedly, Sully isn't somebody who's moved around the league. He's not Lavaliette, or
Whatever.
anything like that. So
There you go. Love it. Love it.
that's something I think working in your favor. I mean, at this point, his coaching career, he coached the Bruins and he coached the Pens.
Okay.
That's it. That's not.
That's who the
Yeah.
Rangers open against the Penguins on October 7th. Ah,
I'm sorry.
Penguins Rangers October 7th. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're going to see each
Love it.
other, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. He doesn't have the same track record of 6 teams in 6 years that other coaches have. So
Yeah.
those are my things to look forward to and
Okay.
things to clean up.
So that is what schedule.
You have injuries and schedule. That's it. So
Well, we'll finish. Let's do injuries. We don't want to finish on injuries, so let's do injuries for $1,000, Alex.
all right. Well, the good news is no big injuries going into the season.
Right? Yeah.
You only got a couple of injured players: Carson Soucy, Braden Schneider, and Adam Edstrom. They're all week to week, and only Edstrom is on IR. So you guys are pretty clean coming into this season. Nothing at the moment to anticipate. So yeah, that's a real short section. That's a really promising
Good.
section.
That's you always want injuries to be short.
Yeah.
Okay. And schedule.
Schedule. So your strength of schedule, according to Tankathon, is 21st, meaning their schedule is in the top third of difficulty, but just barely. You have 2 4-game road trips. The longest road trip you guys have is a 6-game stretch starting in Nashville, followed by the Caps, the Isles, the Canes, then the Caps again, and Florida. So that's mostly on the East Coast. All of it, almost all of it, other than Nashville. Actually, is Nashville Central Time or in Eastern? Nashville might
That's a
be.
good question.
I'm going to look that up right now.
I've been to Nashville a couple of times. I don't remember. Wow.
What time zone is Nashville in?
I know Detroit is the
Central.
third.
It is Central. So the thing is, though, you start in the Central Time zone, which is only an hour's difference in Nashville, and then you fly back east, and you're mostly Caps, Isles, Canes, Caps. You're staying pretty well north until you head down south to Florida, and it's over the course of 13 days. None of them are back to back. None of the games in that 6-game stretch are back to back. So
that's good.
Yeah, so not a bad schedule. I mean, sure, it's a tough one. You see Florida a couple of times, which can be hard. But that said, Florida also doesn't care what happens in the regular season. They're like Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Florida just went to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years running. So they haven't had much, and they won the last 2. They haven't had much of a break. All they care about is making the playoffs and then make some noise. So are they a tough team to beat in the regular season? Well, yeah, they can be, but also you might just catch them on a night where they're like, screw it, take it, we don't care.
You're taking this night off.
Yeah, so 2 4-game road trips. The longest road trip is a 6-game stretch, and even that one's not awful. So I think your schedule looks decent.
Good.
Overall.
Okay.
Anything I missed?
Yes. Oh, I don't know what to ask you. Are they doing the 4 Nations again this year?
No.
No.
Well, it's the Olympics. It's the
that.
Olympics this year.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, they're the Olympics this year. So
I enjoyed the hell out of that. That was
I think they're going to go back to 4 Nations.
That Canadian team was stacked, man. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great team. My God.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I think we will revisit the Four Nations at some
Absolutely.
point. But yeah, this year it's the Olympics.
Okay. All right. Olympic hockey. I'm not a big Olympics guy, but I do. When I do watch
Oh,
it,
and then if I'm not mistaken, this might have been an oversight on my part. I think I'm going to look this up right now, but I'm pretty sure the Rangers are going down to Florida for the Winter Classic.
ooh, wait a minute. They're going to play a Winter Classic in Florida.
Oh yeah,
How are they
two
going
of
to
them.
do that?
There are going to be two games.
So you're outdoors in Florida.
Oh yeah.
In
So yep, I'm right. So
you're playing the Panthers.
the Florida, it's going to be the Panthers and the Rangers on January 2nd at Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. It's the first time the NHL Winter Classic will be held in Florida. I think
Is Lone Depot a dome? How do you play hockey in Florida outside?
I know they've been working on this for a couple of years now.
Fake
Yeah, this
ice?
is the Winter Classic. It's the Panthers. I thought Tampa had something to do with this too, but maybe not.
Maybe it's
Lone
not ice.
Depot
Maybe it's
Park.
some type of maybe it's
Yeah,
like the.
there is a retractable roof.
I thought because maybe the ice would be like from the Fortress of Solitude, something like that. Because
Yeah, right.
that never melts. I mean, so
Yeah, no, apparently it does have a retractable roof.
what's the name of the place again? Lone. Who
Lone
plays
Depot
there?
Park.
That's
It's
the
where the
place where
Marlins. It's where the
the
Marlins play.
Marlins play. Of course, yeah. The Yankees were down there. Yeah, okay, all right. You
But
know that
yeah,
dome.
so
That
that's
dome may not be ready for the Tampa Bay Rays next year. They may be staying in Steinbrenner Field, by the way.
that's a whole other conversation
That's a
about how
big
that's been
thing.
botched.
We got to get to that at some point and talk about
Yeah,
that because it was really botched. Wow.
yeah. So that's something to look forward to. You guys, I can't remember the last time the Rangers played in a. I mean, they've been playing in the outdoor series, but I don't know the last time they played in the Winter Classic.
Well, the last time they played in the Winter Classic, I wasn't that when they beat the. Well, I remember when they beat the Islanders. My nephew and I were texting
That
back and
was
forth.
that's the Coors Outdoor Stadium Series.
Okay, yeah, that was
That's the
the.
Stadium Series.
Yeah, the Islanders were up 4-1, and my nephew was texting me and gloating, and then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose, and the Rangers had 5 unanswered goals. So,
So the last time they played was in 2018. So it's been a long time. It's been 8
okay, yeah,
years.
wow.
Uh, so they've played in the Winter Classic twice, in 2012 against the Flyers and in 2018 against the Sabres.
Was one of those games at Yankee Stadium? One of them wasn't it? Was one of those games at
No.
Yankee?
So the Rangers
Oh,
beat the Flyers at Citizens Bank Park in Philly.
I hate that stadium with a passion.
And then the Rangers beat the Sabres 3-2 in overtime at Citi Field.
Okay.
So they played at Citi Field in
City
2018.
Field, I mean, big time Yankee fan.
They've played
City
outdoors in
Field
Yankee.
and Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank is a dump compared to City
Ah,
Field.
yeah, no, they've played in Yankee Stadium. They played the Devils and the Islanders, I believe, in Yankee Stadium for the
Yeah.
Coors Outdoor Stadium Series.
Okay,
Because I
that's
was
the
there for the Devils Rangers game, and it was unconscionably, disrespectfully cold. It
It
was
had
it
to
was
be.
it was awful, and the Rangers did win that game.
I was
But
watching the
yeah,
game. I remember that. Yeah.
so they've played outside a bunch, but only in 2 Winter Classics. This will
Okay.
be their third.
Cool. Literally.
Yeah. Uh, anything
So
I missed? Anything you got?
I
Any
think you were
questions?
very thorough. And
Apparently, since we're now approaching an hour, which I wasn't expecting.
yeah, which okay, yeah. But no, I thank you a lot. That was great. You've given me renewed hope. I'm going to go into this season with, with tempered expectations, but with hope. So yeah, I mean,
I think you have a lot of reasons to be optimistic
I think so
as a
too. Yeah,
Rangers fan, even if the Panthers are still the team to beat in the league.
I think anytime you got Igor as your netminder, you have reasons to be optimistic.
Right, for sure.
So, yeah, so I think that's part and parcel of that. Chris, are we going to do your Devils next? I think we should. No.
We can. So the teams that I still have on the docket are the Islanders, the Devils, the Sabres, the Blues, the Hurricanes. I'm probably going to do I might, if I have time, do the Sharks, just because they're the Western Conference team I'm following this year. And then I'm going to do the Panthers per your request. So,
Thank you. Okay.
yeah. So who do you want to see next?
Devils. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do your
All
team.
right.
Yeah, and then after that, maybe we can we'll knock off the last metropolitan team, area team, the Islanders.
Okay.
So I do have some questions about the Islanders.
Sure.
A few, And I would love to get my nephew on that for that episode and get him on. So he's got to find a way to get the girls to bed or find the time. He can't be on in the morning though because he's trading. He's a day trader. But we can, he is a gigantic Islander fan. But he respects the Rangers. He does.
Well, and again, we still need to get Chris Gross on here to talk Rangers too. So
that's right. Oh my God, yeah. Well, he coached hockey at one point.
His brother did. Yeah.
Oh, his brother did. That's right. His brother did. Okay. So yeah, I've got to get him on definitely. Yeah. All right. So look forward to our next one when we talk about the New Jersey Beelzebubs.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sports fans. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Hope you enjoyed this deep dive. If you got a team that you want us to dig into, I don't know that we'll get to it before the start of the season. I don't even know if we're going to finish everybody we want to start and do before the start.
We always have these big, eyes wide open.
I know. But but
we aim high. That's the
point. This is the deepest we've done a dive into a team, I think.
Oh, without a doubt.
Preseason. So, there's reason to hope. But yeah, thank you for joining us, sports fans. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you join us for the next one when we do the New Jersey Devils. Joe, as always, thank you for not just your insight and your questions, but your enthusiasm. It is infectious. I love how much you love the Rangers. I love how much you love hockey. So I'm here for it. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you for putting me back on the ice, Chris, because I love it. I love hockey.
Excellent. All right. Love you all, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.